watching. But hey, I'll be watching the chat too. So yeah, how are you guys? So welcome to day 3. So we're almost like we're like we're like a third of a way into these cram sessions, and today we're gonna do some math. So let's get started. Don't forget to say hi in the chat, so we know you're here, and chat around with people. All right, let me share my screen, and let me know if you can't hear me. I would say just refresh your. It's a common issue. Just refresh your window. All right, let me share my screen. All right, I'm just looking at the chat. So yeah, everyone's saying hi to each other. That's awesome. So yeah, so Davina wasn't able to make it today. She's our, if you remember from day 1, she's our SAT Math TA. So I'll be taking over. Fortunately, I also had a good score in the SAT when I last took it like a year ago. So I'm qualified enough to teach this. So um, today we're going to talk about one of the major sections of the SAT, especially the no calculator section, which is linear algebra, or heart of algebra, as the College Board says it. So, right. So once again, the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We also have a Discord. If you don't have access to our Discord server, feel free to ask on the Q&A tab below. I believe Haesung's there, our SAT reading TA. So shout out to her for doing an awesome job yesterday. But yeah, check it out. Feel free to ask questions. We have a lot of people ask questions yesterday, and keeping going. And let's do some mind stretch. A slow break, before we start. So in the chat, type in the color that best describes how you're feeling right now. So like right now, I'm feeling like yellow because it's a pretty sunny day here in California, and I've got a lot of things done. So what about you? What color would you use to describe yourself right now? Yeah, yellow, happy, green, purple, blue. I love your color choices, by the way. Green. I haven't seen the orange yet. I don't know what it means, but hey. Let's see a couple more. Light blue. I like the specificity. Okay. All right. Pastel blue. All right, we're gonna do the blue shades here. Okay, I see you. Okay, so awesome. I'm glad to see that you're hyped up. I know, once again, get some notes. Get your paper and pen ready, or just if you want to take screenshots, go for it. We're gonna do a lot of practice problems here, so sit tight and relax. We're ready to go. Again, you don't need to focus on. By the way, you're seeing my screen, right? Okay. You need to focus on the subject test thingy. Just focus on the left corner. I know I talked to someone in Discord who said I think they're taking the SAT on October. So awesome. So here's some of the dates: August 28th, October, November, December, March, May, June. We recommend that you take, I don't know, at least one. If you want to take at least 2 or 3, recommend take one over the fall, maybe one before winter break, maybe one over the spring if you still have time. If you're like a junior and you're still you still have time to apply for, or sophomore, you still think of applying for to use the stuff to apply for college next year. But if you're a senior, then I would say I think the cutoff date is like December 4th. So you have these 4 as your options. Actually, let me turn on my pointer. Yeah, you have these 4 as your options, August to December. All right. Again, we're gonna talk about linear algebra today, or slash the stuff you probably learned in Algebra 1 and in 8th grade or 9th grade. So we'll see how the SAT will present them as questions, because it's not just gonna be the straightforward ooh, what's 2x? If 2x minus 4 equals 8, then what's x? Well, maybe one question, but that's not like the entirety of the linear algebra section. Again, recap. On the calculator stuff, you want these. I can take a screenshot of this. You want these when you get to your test center. I recommend the TI-84 Plus, or this. This is actually cheaper. I was looking at prices on Walmart yesterday. I think it was like 110, 100. I would say I'll just borrow from like your school. I'm assuming school started at some places, so yeah. And yeah, be sure to. I think the next slide also talks about it, but be sure to practice with your with your calculators. Um, don't just like barge into the test center without knowing how to use a calculator. Like knowing how to graph, or if you want like to double check an answer if the question has a graph on it, or knowing how to use like exponents. You click like this like caret and then like stuff like that. So yeah. Um, Again, a brief overview of actually I can talk more about this too. The two sections in math. So usually so after you're done with reading, you're done with writing in language, you're gonna do math. So you get the first 25 minutes for the non-calculator section, 20 questions usually. I would say they're actually some SATs are pretty straightforward. You can get them done by maybe even 15 minutes or 20 minutes in. If you do a lot of practice starting now and then you keep grinding and you know what's you know most of the topics that's on the test, that's usually the easier part. You get them done, at least in personal experience, you get them done earlier. Um, Even the ones that, oh yeah, and not also at the end, like around 20-ish questions, and at the end, I think there's a couple like 3 or 4 questions that you need to bubble in the answer later, like boxes, and you need to bubble in like a number or a fraction. So, but they won't ask you like insanely hard questions. So we'll practice one of them later. Um, and then I think you get like a breather here. You get a breather here, like you can a couple minutes for a break, and and then you pull out your calculator from under your desk, and then you're ready for the calculator section. And there's a reason why it takes 55 minutes for 38 questions, because some of them you have to there's like, I'm trying to remember. It's definitely longer. Some questions like this is where like the statistics stuff come in. You see more graphs. You see more like I think it's like some geometry there as well. So uh, it's not. I mean, it's obviously different from the calculator section. It definitely needs like a little more time. That's why there's like at least 55 minutes for that. So yeah, that's just a brief overview of the thing. If you have questions, again, Q&A tab on the whatever website you're watching right now, or you can ask on the chat. I'm watching the chat, but Hasten's watching the Q&A. So if you the slides, by the way, are available in the resources tab, so you can see here like the actual models of the calculators available for the SAT. Um, I haven't experienced like people actually like looking at your calculator. Oh, like doing in-depth inspections on on the calculator if it's good or not. But I would say just stick to the safe picks, like the classics like TI-84, maybe Dollar Tree calculator, maybe like a TI, I think 3080. I don't know which one, the one in the middle in the picture. Again, when you do a practice test, obviously you want it to simulate like the actual test. So like no distractions, time yourself, and like actually practice with your calculator. Um, Another thing, again, make sure it's approved by the College Board. Um, I haven't seen this actually happen in person, but I mean it might happen. So just be aware of that. Okay, so jumping in straight to the content. So here are the major content areas of what's it called? The maths SAT math section is for both non-calculator and calculators. We have harder algebra, which we're going to talk about for the entire hour. Passport to advanced math, I believe that's like the quadratics, the exponential stuff. There's no logs, no logarithms. Um, a lot of stuff. Kind of somewhat more advanced stuff. Problem solving and data analysis, that's like the statistics stuff. Or it's just like they're like the actual like long problems, like they're in tables, they're usually in maybe some charts, and you do some data interpretation and stuff like that. And we have some additional topics in math like geometry, like, oh, I hated geometry, but that's a thing. Maybe the second to last question in the non-calculated section is about geometry, or other advanced topics that's not covered in the passport to advanced math stuff. So today we're going to talk about the first one though. So it should be a good refresher. So if you're a junior, a senior, or even a sophomore, if you're taking what now, geometry or trig, or oh yeah, there's trig too in passport advanced math. But if you're taking like, I don't know, something that's not Algebra 1, this is a good recap stream. So yeah. So I would say these are the technically like 5 sections, but really it's either linear equations, functions, inequalities, or actually, yeah. So it's they're basically talking about equations, and they're basically talking about inequalities here. So you're gonna do a lot of algebra, like a lot of manipulation, like like subtract stuff from both sides and all that. So and or you're look or like you're interpreting graphs. Like they give you a graph, and let's say you give an equation to the line that's perpendicular to the one in the graph shown, something like that. Or it could be linear and algebraic reasoning, like more in the interpretation stuff, like I don't know, they give you like a long like context problem, like I don't know, like and then you just have to like write your own equations. Like you have to find out which answer choice like shows the correct equations, equalities, inequalities. So um, we're gonna do a lot of examples to show you just to show how it works. Again, sometimes you're gonna see long word problems, like wordy word problems, and you want to know how to know how to translate them to linear equations or inequalities. Same with graphs. They give you like, let's say, like I don't know. I wish I could draw here, but like I don't know, a graph with like a downhill slope, and they're gonna tell you, oh, what's the equation of this line, or what's the equation of the line parallel to it, something like that. Or they give you 2 equations, and they're gonna be like the solution x a b or x y of this. I don't know, these 2 equations is what, or like the one we did in the first day, like the example, like solve y in terms of a, so something like that. And be sure that you're able to write, and once again, be sure you're able to write and solve for linear equations, expressions, and inequalities. All right, I think non-calculator stuff first. So let's jump straight to an example question. So what's going to happen is I'm going to give you guys like, I don't know, a minute and a half to work on this. You can type your answers in the chat, like A, B, C, D, and then I'll show how I work through it on like these like couple online whiteboard stuff. So it's like a really interactive thing. And once again, don't be afraid to get something wrong, get stuff wrong, because that's the point of these streams. You make the mistakes the first time so that you don't make them on the test. So let's start with this one. So I'll set my timer a minute and a half, and then let's see. Don't start yet. I mean, you can start, do whatever you want, but and then chat your answer on the drop your answer in the chat. All right, and then I'll show you how we work through it. Timer starts now. Oh, I didn't realize my screen froze because I was like, why do you guys still like the color stuff? But by the way, keep working. But um, I'll be answering questions in the chat after this. Oops. Okay, let's start working. So let me stop sharing. Let me share this tab. Let's see if it's the right tab. Actually, I'll just share my window. Okay. Hey, it's the right tab. So, when you see like these problems, let's see, make sure if you see yeah, it's this one. Okay. So usually when you read through problems, like what I usually do is I just underline stuff, right? So oops, you can underline county. Oh, yeah, that's that messy stuff. But you can underline the county X if you want. But what really matters here is they're talking about years. So 2014, 2015, 2030. And then they also talk about, okay, 2014, 783 miles. And then 2015, they're like building 8 miles a year. So it's plus eight. So that you're increasing like every, like, you start with 783 miles. So you can also write it down like, okay, 2014, 783 miles. And then 2015, 783 miles plus eight. And I'll actually add a times one here, and I'll explain later. And then let's continue reading. At this rate, how many miles of paved road will County X have in 2030? So they're asking you, okay, down the road, 2030, how many miles? Usually, so here's the thing. So we already did step one, annotate details. Now you want to think, because once we do all these crams down the road, we talk about linear algebra, we talk about advanced math, talk about geometry, trig, and other stuff. You want to narrow down. Okay, what topic are we talking about? And usually, for there's like an increase, or like let's say each year, like a cute clue word, like each year there's an increase or a decrease or something like that. Start thinking about linear equations. So that's why I put the 783 plus 8 times 1. So it makes sense that this will be 783 plus 8 times something. Or, your linear equation would be 783 plus 8x. And now you're going to be like, oh, so when you're thinking about this, you might think, what does x stand for? So, if 2015 is 1, so it makes sense. So in this case, I would call this like, I don't know, this had to be like this exact wording, but let's say years since 2014. Or I could just do like 2015 minus 2014 equals 1. So if this happened like 1 year after, actually, let's see about, okay, now I'm muted, thank God. If this is 1 year after 2014, then this would be like 2030 minus 2014, that's 16 years after 2014. So if you plug in your equation, you should get 16. Here's the other thing. Um, I guess I didn't put like a distracting answer here, but if I put like, because some people put 15, like, oh, okay, 15, between 15 and 30 is 15 years. Here's the thing: you want to look at 2014 as a starting point, not 15. So if you do the math, 783 plus that is, oh god, that should be 911. So 911 miles. So if I look at the chat, I haven't looked at the chat yet, but that should be answer choice B. Let's see in the chat if they got B. You can do that too, but let's say one of the choices is 903, because that actually happened in the SAT before. Like actually, when I first took the SAT, I think 2 years ago, um, they had like something similar to that. Actually got one of these questions wrong, which is embarrassing, but hey, I learned from it. And I put like the one that's like I put like the other one, the distracting answer. So I might want to double check. But if it's like really obvious that, let's say, like, you already know A is not the answer. Actually, no, this is actually silly. But let's say I didn't notice that later all up below 783, but okay, but just assume that, like, that's how we usually work this stuff. So yeah, I didn't know. I actually did the math. So hey, good job everyone. If you said B. So we stop sharing. Back to the slides. Yeah. So yep, once again, linear. So the skill you're developing here is you're translating this linear equation. Like, I mean, you're translating this whole like 5-line problem to a linear equation. So it's basically just a written explanation of like what we just did. So I'll give you a second to read that, and then we'll move on. Oh, not sharing? Which am I? Am I not sharing my screen? Actually, I'll refresh this. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot that. I almost forgot that there's a what they call it. There's like a I think a 10-15 second delay between when I talk and I guess when I share. So oops. Okay. So basically, this is just what we did. So, um, yeah, we just made like a problem to like a linear equation, and then work through it. So, all right. So you have access to the slides. So, um, this again, this is the work. All right. How about this one? Try it out. And I don't think you guys can like finesse this one like the one earlier. Like I forgot who did it. Who noticed that? Um, whatever Alex did. Like you can't finesse this. So all right, I'll set the timer for 1.5 minutes, and we can start going through them. All right. Let's see. All right, we're ready to go. I realized like I hope that this text size is like large enough. I guess I should have made larger. Oops. Let's see. Let's make it larger. There we go. And ta-da. We have lots of space. Oh no, things are going wrong. Okay. Um, okay, let's go. So once again, you had that already set up that equation like 783, I think, plus 8x. So now the keyword you wanna don't miss is at least 1,000, and asking you what year. So you can't just do things the same way earlier, where we find the number of miles. So now we know that this stands for what's it called? This stands for mileage in I don't know whatever year after 2014. So that's the equation we used earlier. So we want to make sure that this we're defining the variables. So now we're looking for in what year will it have at least 1,000 miles. So you already know we're comparing it to 1,000, right? So the question is, are we using greater than or less than? If we're talking at least, then if let's say I don't know on a test, like you need at least three right answers to pass. So that means you need to get 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know, right answers to pass. So that means we're looking at things greater than whatever number we're using. So we're saying at least 1,000. We're saying great. We're saying this number is great. We're saying this number is uh, greater than or equal to 1,000 because at least so 1,000 counts. So same idea. We just from here we just do our what's it called? We just solve it. So subtract 783 from both sides. And I guess I should have prepared for this. I think it's uh, 8x, they cancel out. Xx is greater than or equal to 217. And then you divide both sides by you divide both sides by 8, and you should get, greater than or equal to, don't forget to mix up the signs. I should get 2, I'll put in the calculator. It should get 27.125. So that means that, don't stop there though. That just means that it's like 27.125 years after 2014. So what you want to do is you want to add it up, plus 27 point blah blah blah. That should be 2041.125. But we don't really do, we don't do what's it called? We don't do fraction years. We do whole years. So we just round up, and that should be 2042. And that should be answer choice C. And let's see what people said in the chat. Yay! Thank you for helping with the calculator too. So there we go. So that should be your answer, 2042. So just know how to work things the other one way and then the other way, like forward and backwards. So because it might be tempting to like just know how to do one way and just like leave it to chance of, oh, hopefully they don't ask the other type of question. So yeah. Okay, moving on. Stop sharing. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of sharing and non-sharing. So okay, we're back. So yeah, here's the explanation. Basically, same idea. I recognize. Oh yeah, I should be probably a delay right now, but yeah, just a big idea is at least it's an inequality. So instead of like a linear equation, so that's the only difference. That's how they could ask you about like an inequality in like a linear equation problem. Uh, True, that's smart. I can just present my whole window. Okay, I'll do that. Window. Okay, so we're back. Once again, at least inequality. Remember for the first example, x is the number of years after 2014. So that's really the big idea of like the problem. Same idea. This is like what I did in the whiteboard. So don't forget to round up. If they ask you, let's say, if one of the choices is 2041, then your answer is like 2041.125, then don't round down, round up, you know. Um, all right, moving on to the next one. So this, now here's what's different on this one. Let me know if there's a delay. Okay. Um, Here's what's different from this one. Now you don't need to solve anything. Here we're just interpreting it. We're just translating it. So nothing else much to do beyond that. So again, I'll set the timer for 1.5 minutes, and you guys can work on this. Yeah, the only downside of like sharing my whole window is you'll see whenever I hop in the chat. So I guess it's not much of a problem. All right. I guess I didn't vibrate, but it already rang. So let's see what people are saying in the chat. So saying, "Ooh, you guys are split. That's interesting. B C B C B C B C. Okay. Um, This is actually when I first so there's like an official practice question from the SAT, like the College Board, because oh yeah, another thing. I know there are a lot of review books out there, but nothing beats that's a good supplementary content, but I also work with the actual like practice questions, like actual practice tests from the College Board because they're the ones who make the questions. They're the ones who word the questions. So they're probably the most accurate representation of like what the SAT is kind of like. So there are like 8 of them online. So check them out. So let's start working on that one. So again, your skill here is interpreting linear equations, retranslating them. So here's the thing. Let's read. He charges 50 for the first 2 hours, okay, and then 20 per hour. So this is like a rate for the next after the first 2 hours. So like that's like this just goes on like to like I don't know however many hours it is. So our equation is C. Our variable is C. That's basically the like dollar charge to whoever is like the customer. Um so we already know that 50 is not the what's it called. So if it's like a y equals mx plus b type of thing, we already know that 50 is not the what's it called. 50 is not the one on the slope. It's not the one on. It's not the m. It's not the slope because it's actually 20. So because we know that he's charging 20 per hour after like that like this like given constant, you know. So and that doesn't help us though because all of these choices have 20x. So now we gotta find out. Um, we gotta find out. Actually, no. Let me rephrase this. Um, we already know the b, so it's like a puzzle. We already know b. That's 50 because that's the constant. You know, even if you only go there for like 1 hour, you're always gonna get charged 50, right? So let's put 50 here. Doesn't matter. Honestly, the order doesn't really matter. Um, and then we know that 20 again. 20 is the rate, right? But we also know that what's it called? We know that x is greater than 2. So if you just put x here, so let's say, I mean, sometimes another way, another good strategy is to just plug things in. Let's say, I don't know, I have this man's Miguel like edit this manuscript for 3 hours. So you can do the mental math in your head. You're like, okay, I get charged 50 for the first 2 hours, and I get charged 20 for like the third hour. So that's that, right? 50 plus 20, 20 times 1, it's 70. So if we do it like that, if we keep it like this, what's going to happen is, okay, you get charged 50 plus 3, x equals 3. So that's going to be 60. So you get overcharged. So that doesn't seem to be the right answer. So C is actually not the right answer, which is in fact like which throws off people because like what? Um, because it's the main difference here is that this is not just x. It's actually x minus 2 because they give you that x is greater than 2, right? So if we go back here, let's go back to the 3 hours. Let's say I had him edit the manuscript for 3 hours. So let's plug in 3 here. We get 50 plus 3 minus 2 is just 1. 20 times 1 is equal to 70. That checks out. And obviously, this is not an option here. This thing is not among the choices. So what you have to do is you have to distribute these terms. So we have 50 plus 20x minus 40. So we get 20x plus 10, which is answer choice B. You can also do, honestly, you can also just, you don't even need to think about this whole thing. Like, you can just plug them in. Like, okay, just use a placeholder like number. Let's say 5 hours. So, and then you just do this whole like hypothetical thing again. And you're like, okay, does it make sense here? Does it make sense here? Because because this is the trick answer. And honestly, when I first tried this, I put C2, but when I realized when I checked stuff later on, I was like, that doesn't make sense. So yeah, let me know if that doesn't make sense. Yeah. So here's the other thing. So here's the other question. Wait, if you only do 1 hour, and when you get like here, if you plug in one here, would it be like negative? The thing is, this is the condition though. X is greater than 2. So we can't do 1 or 2 when you plug things in. So we have to do 3, 4, 5, 6, blah blah blah. So yeah, let's see if I have any other questions. Yeah, you can't use 2 to plug in because all right. Oh hey, the Venus in the chat too. So oops. So we can come back to that later. And here's the written explanation to that. Again, x minus 2 because the first 2 hours are 50. So again, we're not charging 20 right starting right from the first hour. So we're only starting to charge 20 right after the first 2 hours. So that's how we got x minus 2. I know it's like a little tricky, but once you just look at it again and think about it, and you're like, oh, that's how it works. Yeah, you should make that get that aha moment. All right, so that's an example of like a trickier what's it called? Uh, like linear equation problem. So here's like a good refresher back to Algebra 1. So I'll give you guys another minute and a half and try it out. Actually, it can even go like 2 minutes. There we go. By the way, you guys are doing awesome. You guys are grinding and practicing, and I saw someone offering guidance in the chat. So, once again, it's a community. Everyone's helping each other, and we love that energy. So, for this one, it's a classic. I wish I had more questions. Oops. I wish I had more questions like these. They're pretty chill. Oops. Too soon. Spoiler. So yeah, we're just solving for x and y here. It's no trick question. It's pretty straightforward. So usually just go off of distributing like everything. So what's it called? This first one's good. So let's do this one. So distribute the terms. We get 2 times 2y is 4y plus 6 equals 3y plus minus 6. We usually want to put the x's. We want to put like, let me draw it here. We want to put like the x's and the y's together, and then put like the number on the other side, like how we did the first. I think it was the first example. So let's do more fixes here. So let's do 4y. Let's subtract 3x on both sides. So 4y minus 3x. Yeah. 4y minus 3x equals and they subtract 6 from both sides equals negative 12. So that's the second equation. Let's fix the second one. So for here, we can add 2x on both sides, And honestly, the other thing with algebra is there's no like one clear cut way. You can also do it like that. You can subtract it the other way around, and then, you know, 4y, let's see, plus 2x, and then put 6 to the other side, so equals -6. So let's put them together. So 4y plus 2x equals -6. That's from this one. And let's do 4y minus 3x equals -12. Uh, and sometimes this is straightforward. So we just flip the signs. So make this minus, we make this plus, we make this plus. So we have y's cancel out. We have let's see, 5x equals. Actually, this doesn't seem right. um, I think it's supposed to be 11 or something. No. Let's see where I did wrong. Actually, let's do it this way. So let's do it this way. See, that's the other thing. Sometimes you screw up. So I mean, you mess up. So you gotta be careful. So you want to pay attention to what's going on. So I think it's right here. So 4x 3x minus 6. And then let's do this. So 3x, let's move 4y here. 3x minus 4y equals, oh, it's 5, that's why. So this should be 11. So that's why I was wrong. Okay, so I get it now. Yeah. So let's do it again. I think it should be 5x equals 5 now. Uh, Minus 4y equals 11. Let's see. 2x, this should be 2x minus 4y equals, no, this should be 2x plus 4y equals -6, because remember we switched this here, we brought 2x here. So now if we add these together, it should be 5x, 4y should cancel, 11 minus 6 is 5. There we go. X equals 1. Thank gosh. So that cancels out C and D. And now you can just plug it into the easier one. So I would plug it into this one. So you do -2 times 1 equals 4y plus 6. -2 equals 4y plus 6. Subtract subtract 6 from both sides. You get -8 equals 4y, y equals -2. So your solution should be 1, -2. And that should be answer choice B. So thanks, Avery, for pointing it out. So that's one thing to watch out for when you do this, because you already know how to do this. The thing is just slow down. Don't speed run it, or you might write something out wrong, or I don't know, do something that change the sign or flip the sign. So yeah, that should be the answer for that one. This is the whole thing. This also works. So this is like an alternate solution, like substitution. This also works substitution. So you already know that x is, let's see, but yeah, you can just read on here. So for that, in the interest of time. So that's usually what happens in the non-calculator section. They're either straightforward, they're either like word problems that you want to translate them into equations, or even solve them, like how many miles, or how many miles, or what year does this have, like at least 1,000 miles, stuff like that. Or you just solve, like find a solution. Um, in fact, if we have more time, there are like 3 other practice questions at the end that I added. So hopefully we have time at the end. So moving on to the calculator section. This is more, I noticed usually there are more like linear inequality sections. You set up the problem. And yeah, they're sometimes trickier if you don't wrap your head around it. So here's a sample question for that. So again, linear inequalities. If you see like this kind of sign, so it's a hint. So minute. Let's try 2 minutes. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, it's like a bubble in problem. So this like usually at the end of the section, or like three, four, I forgot how many questions. I think there's like a lot more. 6 questions that are bubble ins. So you already know they don't. It's not going to exceed like four digits at most. All right. So again, this is a tricky one. I guess just to get you like oriented to how like usually the bubbling questions are if it's a linear algebra question. So don't worry if you um in your practice you can even take a little bit more time to do stuff. So let's work on this. So again, our topic here is linear inequalities because inequality because you can tell from like the greater than or equal to sign. Um, and and just a heads up, like a b, it's really the same thing. It's the same thing. A is b place. It's a placeholder for x and y for the problem because you see here x, y, and especially if you're like, I don't know, like if nerves hit you, you're like, wait, what? A b x y? Like there's 4 letters, so they're the same thing. So you just know, look at the similarities. Um, so it's like linear equalities. So if you see like y is like, actually no, I'm just gonna annotate it here. If it y is equal to this and y is also equal to that, so you could set them equal to each other. So you can put 5x here, keep the less than keep the less than equal to, and then negative 15x plus 3,000. That's the first step. So because y is less than or equal to this, y is also less than or equal to this. So you can just substitute that there, and then it's like your typical what's it called? It's like your linear equality, linear equation. Add 15x to both sides, you get 20x less than or equal to, cancel out, 3,000. And divide both sides by 20. X is equal to 150. Great, less than or equal to 150. Here's what a lot of people get wrong. They stop here, so they're like, "Hey, the answer would be 150." But remember, they're asking you what is the maximum possible value of b. And if you look here, b stands for y, not x. We just worked on x. We want y, right? So we're not done. But the good thing is they give us the building blocks. Remember these two equations, like y equals negative 15x, 3,000, y greater than, less than or equal to 5x. This 150, you can just plug in to either of these. So let's do the easier one. Let's do this one. Y is less than or equal to 5 times 150. And if you do the math with the calculator, we get 750. So, and that should be your what's it called? That should be your maximum possible value in that. It's okay if you do it here too. So if you do negative 15 times what, 150, I think that gives you uh, I think 2250 or something. Let's see if I got that one right. Actually, wait, 15 times 150. Yeah, 2250. So even if you plug it into the other equation, because why not? You'll still get this exact same expression. Y is it's like this. So that means that your maximum possible value. If the maximum value that works here is 150. I mean, if 150 is so like the maximum that works here, um, then if you plug it in, that 750 should be the one that works here. So your answer should be 750. In other words, so yeah, and that's usually how you navigate. You do it step by step. Don't like make sure that you don't stop prematurely. So like, oh, it's X, but they're asking for B, aka Y. So yeah, watch out for that. Oops. So same explanation. Oh, I just did an explanation earlier. I don't think there's some explanation here, but yeah. Um, when you're graphing, remember you use like y equal like if you go to your calculator, it's this y equal. If you're using a 1084 plus, it's the um y equal button to get here, and then I think you go and then if you want to graph it, then you click this like bar graph, and let's see. Yeah, I think there's also like a YouTube video. Like I don't think I can play it here right now, but there's a YouTube video walking through how to like do stuff like this. If you don't know like the original rule, like if it's like less than, you shade this part or you shade that part and stuff like that, because that's gonna come up in the what's it called, SAT sometimes. Like there's like a shaded area and you're like which one is like this, which one applies to this equation? Is it this equation or this equation or this equation? Stuff like that. All right. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Like honestly, I didn't even know. When I did that, I didn't even know how to do this. So, but it's good additional information if you want to double check and you're not sure. And they ask this on the calculator section. Yeah. Let's see. Again, yeah, break down what you know. So again, A B. That's like a placeholder for X Y. Um. Oh, okay. Wait, I think it's a different problem. But yeah, solid line versus like solid lines for what's it called, for these ones, and then like brokeny, I don't know what to call them, like dashed lines for these guys. So it's another thing, good thing to know. Oh, this is the explanation for that other problem. So it's just a detour on the graphing calculator, I guess. So yeah, that's for that one. Here, I think I don't know. This might be the last one, but if we have more time, then we can do another one. But this is another one of those examples where you set up the problem, like you set up the inequality. So I'll give you all 2 minutes on this one because it's because yeah, I should give you more because it's on the calculator section. But let's stick with 2 minutes for interest of time and all that. All right, time's up. This is again, this is another of those like you gotta read, so you can't just speed run this, unfortunately, and it's for a good reason. I mean again that's a reason why the calculator section is longer. It gives you more time. My pen does the random squiggle things. Okay, so this Roberto sells like 50K policy, 100K policy, and his goal. So remember, just looking at the choice. We already know we're setting up at least we're setting up inequalities. So we know that let's see, you want to sell at least 57 policies, and we know that X is the 50K policy, Y is the 100K policy, and we know that he sold over 3 million. So like that's a lot of information where they start. So remember, X is the number of X and Y are the number of policies, and you remember his goal was to sell at least 57. And here's the other thing: he failed though. I think he did not meet his goal. So we know that okay, we already know that this has to total is either be more greater than or less than 57, but he failed. So he failed his goal, and that means that he sold less than 57. So that should cancel choice B and D. And you might be wondering, wait, why don't we have this thingy like the equal, less than or equal to? Probably using like less than, because you can't sell like he failed. He never his goal is at least 57, but he didn't sell them, so he didn't complete his goals. So he'll sell like maybe 56, 55, 54 down the road, blah blah blah. Now here's the other one. So remember this again. So 50K, that's for X, 100K is for Y, and what do we know? Did he sell over or under 3 million? Over, right? Um, so that means that this is like the how much he made. Like I don't know, this represents how much he made. This means that he got over. This is greater than 3 million. So just look for the choice that like has that. So it's less than, less than. This is less than, so that's not this one. So it should be choice C. Yeah. So I think everyone chat's getting it. So yeah, so that's the big idea here. So you're gonna see a lot of these. So in just different like what's it called? Different formats. So it could be like I don't know, in a circus, like they're like I don't know, their goal is to, like I don't know, like how many elephants and I don't know how many popcorns and I don't know like chocolate did I don't know the circus sell, something like that. And then but it's usually a variation of like the objects themselves and the actual money made. Usually, that's like a common thing I keep seeing in the thingy in the SAT. So I guess we don't have so it should be answer C. Oh, here's a meme. I should check it out when you have the slides. Yeah, speed running is not a good idea unless you are really pressed for time. They can just make some logical like I call it logical guessing, but um yeah, there are three more in the what's it called in the. I added three more here for on your own. So if you check the slides, you can do this on your own. But I haven't gone over them directly. So if you have questions on these, ask me or Davina or even Haesung on Discord. Again, if you don't have the link to Discord, like ask right now. Like ask like like when you go to the website, we have like this like I don't know, I think it's Amanda Bot or something like, hey, how can we help you? Ask like how to get to the Discord because we want you to like, we'll be there. We're there to chat, like, I don't know, most of the time. And, want to make sure you know how to do like problems like these because I haven't talked about like perpendicular lines. But that's kind of an example of like slopes and graphs and all that, for example. Or I haven't talked about this is like another example of the one we just did, but it's like it takes little bit of like thinking. And then this one is a variation of like that solving equations earlier. So yeah, if you have time or if you want to ask questions, like ask on the Discord. Or if you're not on Discord, like ask someone like how do you get there, you know? So because I know a couple people didn't get into the Discord, so yeah, don't be shy, join us. All right, I'll stop sharing, and I mean that's all I have. And if you guys have any other questions, I don't see stuff in the chat, but other than that, I think we'll call it a day. How was it? Actually, no. One last thing. How was it? Like, if you're rated like, how do you feel? Like 1 to 10. Like, quick. Like, just like answer. Like, give me a number. Like 1 to 10. How do you guys feel? Okay, 8. There we go. I'll take that. Yeah. On the third day of the grind, like that's a good number. 9. Okay. And be honest, huh? Okay. When you're setting your own goals, be honest. Don't be like, ooh, I feel like I'm a 10. Yeah. Exactly. So that's the other thing. So the reason why we're presenting you these questions is, okay, I'm good at equalities, but I'm not good at inequalities. So, this is something you want to work on in your free time. Okay, 9. All right. And I respect you guys' time, so I don't want to keep you guys any further. So yeah, I think the next I don't know the schedule for tomorrow, but the next couple streams we'll be back with Davina. I'll be on the TA, like on the Q&A part. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Awesome crowd. Love the energy. Thank you. Bye bye.